What's up, everybody? Nick Piles, publisher of 1851franchise.com, here with another episode of Meet the Zor. If you like these episodes, please click subscribe. You can see and meet many different franchise brands. Today, we are talking options for Senior America coming up next. All right, Radhik, actually, we're going to start with you. You're clearly not a senior. That's or you found the secret fountain of youth, but want to hear your franchise story. How did you accidentally fall into franchising as an opener?
Wonderful, Nick. Well, thank you for having me. So a little bit about, how I got here today. Very unconventional. I know a lot of people kind of, start work their way up in the franchise world. I kind of fell into it, as he said. My background is, I started I went to the Wharton Business School, did my undergraduate there. And since then I was working in, different realms of private equity. I first started in real estate. From there, I decided that I wanted to transition and do something a little more impactful. So I ended up going into healthcare private equity. And from there, my folks were small business owners. They actually are franchisees of different, QSR brands. And so I was always, interested in the franchise world. And I wanted to do something a little more at scale. So I ended up launching a search fund. I ran with that for a couple of years, and I ended up closing on this opportunity, Options for Senior America. There were two retiring owners, and it was a great opportunity for me to come in and be able to do something I'm passionate about and be able to do it at scale. So, I've been in this position for about 5 months now. I was kind of consulting a little bit on the franchise side before that. I'm deep into the waters now. I've been going to the different, different brokerage groups and, their conferences, and really been cultivating the consultant relationships. So super excited to be part of it.
I love it. So tons that I want to unpack from that, which is the whole point of the opening conversation. So anybody that's investing, whether that's a franchisee or franchisor, you invest because you want a return. And so when you're looking at this brand, you see opportunity that, for right, wrong, or indifferent, the founders couldn't get it to the place that you see as a potential. When you're evaluating this, what's the big, fat, audacious goal that you want to get to with this brand?
That's a wonderful question, Nick. As you said, right? Anytime that, you're making an investment in a business, you're thinking about your returns, right? And you're thinking about, what your end goal is with any sort of transaction, right? And so with Options for Senior America, what really attracted us was, we really believe it's me and my partner, by the way, we really believe that it's at an inflection point right now, right? So we have 16 franchises, we have 13 franchise owners, right? And so, we have a lot of the foundation for what it takes to succeed, right? We have a brand that's been in business for over 35 years. We have a strong item 19. We have candidates who are really happy with the brand and the support that we offer, right? And so given that, the old owners really focused a lot on some of their service lines, like the 24/7 live-in care, which is, what we would say we're the experts in. It's kind of our core competency, and that's where we've kind of positioned ourselves in the market, which is more of the long-term care private pay market, right? And we really think this is an interesting model because we think we can really, build a more, semi-absentee model by focusing on high value cases or average case value for some of these, long-term care cases are, over $50,000 over 6 months, right? So we're looking at strong recurring revenue, high case value with a strong profit margin, right? And so we really believe that, we can create a strong franchise model, because we've been in business for 35 years. We have over 10 corporate units that we own and operate today. And it's a matter of us kind of, finding our position in the market where we can build something that's cool, new and innovative, right? And so we're doing a couple of additional things aside from really, zeroing in on our live-in focus, which is thinking about how we can bring caregivers, from different countries to the US through one of the different visas. And we're working with a couple of different workforce development companies to see how we can do this at the franchisor level to really solve one of the major issues in the senior care space, which is the staffing. Mm-hmm. So, we have a lot of things up our sleeves that we're testing out. We always believe that we need to test it out on our corporate units first to see that, it works, it's proven, it's tested, and then we're more than happy to roll it out to our franchisees where it will ultimately ensure in their success.
An observation, and I'm going to frame my observation with you. When I fell into franchising, when I started our business in franchising, I was 27 years old, and I look back to that moment. I didn't want time to go fast, but I grew tired of he's too young to know how to do things. And I said, well, actually, that's my superpower because I'm not looking at franchising in the traditional sense. Have you been met? Because obviously you're in a business unit that's been around for 35 years. Have you been met with the same challenge? And then you say, yeah, but I'm looking at this from a business lens, which is only going to impact you. Did you get any pushback when you're getting involved in the business, or have you had to battle pushback in your career for having big visions and being on the younger side?
Yeah, most certainly. I mean, anytime, you even it was just as, late as like a couple of weeks ago when I was at Francer, right? I mean, being one of the youngest people in the room and, not only am I in a position where, I'm leading franchise development, but when you're, an equity owner in the company and you're also leading the vision and, leading the charge, of course, there's going to be pushback for being the youngest in the room. Right. But at the same time, right, especially in the space that we're in, it's the senior care space has strong, fundamentals, right? The demographics are strong, not only for the next 10 years when people say, there's 10,000 people turning 65 daily, right? But our average, average care recipient is 75 years old, right? So we're bullish on the space for, the next 2 to 3 decades, right? And so I feel very strongly about the space we're in. And then you look at, the different companies that are out there, and a lot of people will tell you, hey, you're late to the game and things like that. We believe that, given the demographics are there, there's room for us to innovate our business model. And, maybe our youth and, our kind of inexperience in the franchise world can, play to our strength, because we're not just looking at like, putting out another franchise that's out there that's offering the same, good old, personal care companionship services. We want to think about how can we take it one step further, whether, it's becoming a more of a premium player or being a more of a, cost-effective, affordable option. And so I think that, it allows us to play and allows us to think about business model innovation that a lot of maybe, some of the incumbents don't necessarily think about, because we, me and my partner come from different walks of life, and we come with different experiences. So my background is private equity. My partner's background, he's been in business operations, has been in business development for over 25 years, right? And so he's worked in senior leadership positions at different call centers, at different, ed tech companies. So he really has kind of the corporate experience, both on the operational, the marketing side. And then, I kind of come in with the grand vision and really wanting to lead this to, be able to grow to 200 to 300 units, over a compressed period of time.
So one comment for senior care in general, and we've advised companies on this. So think who your customer is. On the franchise side, it isn't a senior, and actually your customer on the care side tends not to be the senior. It tends to be the adult child who's helping make that decision. Yet every brand goes towards like the default of let's put pictures of seniors on there. Like, yeah, I understand why you do it, but you have to speak to the end user, and the decision maker ends up being the adult child. And that's where, like, when I look at any brand, I think that's going to be part of your superpower, is going to be, even in the early stages, if experience in the space isn't celebrated, eventually someone's going to look at that and say, yeah, but I'm going to bet on this jockey because they're going to figure out what is the next level of it,
Yeah, no, I definitely, agree with that. And we definitely think about that a lot, right? At the end of the day, our customers, are the clients, right? Those are the individuals who are paying for this type of service for their loved ones, right? And so one of the things that we think about, right, is even both on the franchise side, but also on the corporate side is, what appeals to the individuals who are paying for this care, right? And so one of the things that we're testing right now in our corporate territories is how do we include things like holistic wellness as part of our services, right? So instead of just, selling a commoditized service like personal care and companionship, what if we can add holistic wellness, whether it's, different yoga classes or different stretching classes, whatever it may be that we can centralize from our corporate office that, some of the care providers can then tune into these classes that we've designed from corporate and be able to do these activities, which have been proven to, slow the progress of things like dementia or Parkinson's and et cetera. Right. And so as you have this, generation of individuals right now who may be in their 40s, paying for this service for their loved ones, they are much more, focused on wellness, and they want the best for their mom or their dad, right? And so we're thinking about how do we cater to that population, because ultimately, as you said, they really are our customers, even though our, end kind of consumer is the care recipient, right? So I think it's a great point that you make.
All right, so switching gears over to the broker networks, and you said we're focused on building up relationships, and I'm gonna give you a story on the counter, which is what I don't like about this industry. Broker networks did tremendous for growing senior care brands in general. If you look at most of the players, they leveraged the broker networks because the broker networks get in front of someone that says, here's how much money I have. I would like to get into franchising or understand it. Where should I go? And so senior care was a tremendous business because anybody that had some business background, it was easy to place. I did a Meet the Z podcast, and this will never leave my brain. They had a broker proactively reach out to them on LinkedIn. They said, well, what are you passionate about? And they said, well, we both took care of our aging parents. Our parents have passed away. We're passionate about senior care. Mm-hmm. And the broker goes, beep, 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 beep. Based on your personality, you should own a donut brand or a soccer brand. And what's interesting about that story is senior care brand paid $25,000 in commission, soccer brand $50,000, donut brand $85,000. And so my fear with the broker networks has always been, how do you not guide the witness to the wrong business opportunity? Because at the end of the day, especially in senior care, majority of franchise owners have had some sort of personal experience with the space to say, this is why I want to do this, because I'm going to feel good about how I'm giving back. How do you combat that? I mean, obviously you're breaking into these networks, but how are you changing that story so that doesn't happen with a brand like yours?
Absolutely. I mean, look, I think there's, several things, right? I think one of the things that you mentioned is very accurate, right? At the end of the day, everyone is driven by incentives, right? And maybe some of the more brick and mortar, franchisor brands may be able to pay a higher commission because their fees are naturally higher, right? And so, I think that's certainly a challenge. I mean, the only way as a franchisor we can mitigate that is start, kind of focusing on the organic side. So how do we go directly to potential candidates, right? So that's something that, we're working on. Aside from that, I think it's also, interesting because, we're really focused on, as I said, trying to get as many candidates as we can outside of the broker network, but we also want to do as much vetting as we can, right? We're going to, our founder gets on a lot of these intro calls, right? We get on all of them if we can. We get on these intro calls, we get on these FDD review calls, and then, we're a big part of Discovery Day, right? And so, through this process, process, usually by discovery day, we can kind of figure out, if a candidate is going to be good for our business model, right? We know, what results in a good candidate and succeeding within our system. We have a good sample size to be able to tell us that. And, over kind of pattern recognition, we can tell if this individual is going to be good at it and if it's really built out for them. And our job is to be transparent, right? Given that we're completely privately owned between my partner and I, right? We have no other alternative agenda, right? We want to make sure that we can grow alongside the partners that we're bringing on board over the next, 10 years, over the life of their franchise agreement. So, it's not like we're currently working with a franchise sales organization where we're obligated to take on anybody they bring to us. Right. We can be more selective in the process, which we are, right? We're very diligent about that.
I love it. All right. So let's say a candidate is watching it up to this point, and especially in this case, I'm betting on the jockey, not on the horse. Because the jockey said, I like this category. Here's why I like it. And here's what we're going to do to a legacy brand to take it to the next level. So I'm betting on you. What else do you want them to know about the franchise opportunity? What is that last bit of information?
Yeah, I think one of the things that makes us really unique, and, I think this is something that I can't state enough, right? In terms of all the quantitative differentiators, I mean, they speak for themselves. I would just refer them to reach out to us and obtain, a copy of the FDD. But beyond that, right, it's more of the support that we can offer and the type of training program that we can offer our franchisees, right? We're currently operational. We serve the entire state of Maryland from our corporate office here in Gaithersburg, right? So, we have the experience of actually serving clients, being in the business of home care. We're not like a lot of the other franchisors who are simply in the business of selling franchises, right? And so that's the biggest takeaway, right? Is our training program, our support is truly unlimited. It truly brings you into the business. When during our training program, we take inquiries right in front of our, candidates. We're able to hire and, onboard care providers right in front of the candidates. And in addition to that, our corporate staff is available to all of our candidates, both business and after hours, because we view them as an extension of our clients, right? And so as a business owner who may be driven, who may be ambitious, but realizes that they need the support in order to grow and grow quickly, we're here for them, all the time. And so I think that's really unique because at the end of the day, right, there's a lot of home care brands out there. There's a lot of senior care brands out there. And, what you're really going to need is that support when it matters the most to be able to achieve, your goals and your dreams.
I love it. Well, look, I think you're setting things up the right way. Obviously, you see a lot of bandwidth for what you guys have acquired from a business standpoint, and now you're putting the foundation in place. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this story plays out. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely, Nick. Thank you for having me.
Of course, for Radhik, I'm Nick. That's another episode of Meet the Zor.